confirmed.
Joining us now, Bernie Kerik, former New York City Police Commissioner and CEO of the Kerik Group from Newsmax, New York. Bernie, we see what happened in France. Two brothers apparently involved. We remember the Boston Marathon bombing, a pair of brothers in that attack. Are there other similarities between what happened yesterday in Paris and what happened at the Boston Marathon a couple of years back?
Honestly, JD, I think there may be. It's a little too early to tell. I think the thing that stands out to me the most about the Paris attack was the operational capability of these guys, was the way they operated, the way they conducted the attack. There was concealment and cover. There was military type tactics. I don't think this is the first time they did this. I think they may have been in Iraq or Syria. They trained extensively, I believe, for this event. They were very strategic. They were very calm. They weren't scattered at all. Even after the execution of the police officer on the ground, they moved in military type maneuvers. And I think this is some of the stuff we have to be concerned with the operatives or the Americans, the Brits, the Europeans that have gone into Iraq and Syria and may come back to their home countries to carry out attacks like this.
Bernard, we just heard the president offering U.S. support to France, and just today the Pentagon is announcing it's consolidating military bases in Europe. Is this how we should be responding?
Well, you know what, I think, first of all, I think France should be given all the support, the investigative support, anything they need from us. I think we should get them because the tables could be turned. I'm sure there's intelligence here that they may be able to use. There is definitely intelligence on that side that we can use. I think the cooperation has to be at its peak. As far as the military bases, you know, I leave those things up to the military commanders and let them make those decisions.
Bernie, you and I have talked before about New York City remaining a target for terror. We understand the NYPD has made one notable change today, putting counterterrorism patrols at landmarks in the wake of the Paris attack yesterday. Are other things going on, or is this move to put patrols at city landmarks enough in your estimation?
Well, there's a number of things that go on that you guys wouldn't see or wouldn't hear about, and I don't think the general public should know. You know, sometimes one of our greatest faults is the freedom of the press, and in that we give away a bunch of our intelligence capabilities, a bunch of our law enforcement capabilities. So sometimes it's better that the general public, especially the terrorists, have no idea what we're doing. However, there has been an increased state of alert here in the United States, and primarily in New York City, that has been a target at least 13 or 14 times since September 11th of 2001. So you're going to see landmarks covered, you're going to see soft targets covered, you're going to see houses of worship covered, you're going to see extra counterterrorism activity all around the city. I think it's necessary. And this is something we have to live with in the future.
Bernie, about 30 seconds left in this segment. There's a story involving the ongoing controversy between the mayor and the police unions. Sources tell the New York Post that the police union wants Bill Clinton to come in and kind of be an arbiter in this rift. Is that a good idea in your estimation? 30 seconds remain.
You know, I don't know how accurate that is. I know Mike Palladino, who's the head of the DEA, the Detectives Endowment, he said you need somebody like a Bill Clinton to come in, who's a statesman, who's a mediator. Maybe you do. Maybe it's Bill Clinton, maybe it's not, but somebody has to fix the rift between the NYPD and the mayor.
Fair enough. Bernie Kerik, thank you for your willingness to stay with us. We're going to pause, then come back with Bernie to talk more here on America's Forum. To Newsmax New York we return to pick up the conversation with former NYPD Commissioner Bernie Kerik, now the CEO of the Kerik Group. Now, Bernie, we heard Richard Burr's assessment. Sounded almost chapter and verse like what you said before the break. Here's where I want to drill down a little bit. The whole notion of the lone wolf or lone rat attacks. There's been talk in Boston that the Tsarnaev brothers had to have some help. They're still suspicious of that there. And this thing in Paris yesterday doesn't appear to be lone wolf oriented. Are we going to see more sophisticated networks, smaller attacks, but with planning and military precision, not only globally, but perhaps here at home?
I think in due time you will. You know, I'm constantly asked, you know, are we susceptible to another September 11th? The reality is, these days, we don't need 4 planes flying into 4 buildings. I think we're beyond that. I think our security measures will prevent it. However, to create catastrophic damage, fear, economic destruction to this country, if you had 4 or 5 of the events like they had in Paris yesterday in different locations in this country on the same day at the same time, I don't think anybody in this country realizes the collateral damage that a strike like that could cost. And the unfortunate thing for us is there are people out there that want to do this, that will die to do it, and that are training to do it. They're training here and they're training abroad, and we have to live with that realization. This enemy is not going away. It's not going to cower, and we have to be prepared for it. And our best success at fighting something like this is going to be our intelligence capabilities. And I heard Peter King and some others talk yesterday about our ability to collect intelligence from the mosques and interact with the Muslim community to ensure that we're getting the intelligence we need to fight this enemy. And I completely agree. That is something that we started back in 2001, and I think that has to continue. We have to know who these people are, where they are, what they intend to do, how they intend to operate, who's funding them. Without that, we are going to see attacks like this in this country.
And it's interesting, Bernie, you mentioned Congressman Peter King. He will join us following the break. But we want to make good use of your time and generosity and insights. And there's something that I think falls into almost a merger of law enforcement and attitudes, and that is the press not showing the cartoons that Charlie Hebdo featured out of fear of blaspheming Islam. In your mind, should media outlets be showing those cartoons?
Honestly, JD, I think they should, but I have to say, prior to yesterday, I had never seen one. Never seen one. And I will tell you that in the last 24 hours, I've seen dozens, and I've seen them 100 times, maybe 500 times over the last 24 hours. They're all over the place now. So whatever the intent was of these people in Paris to prevent the showing of this kind of stuff, it completely worked in reverse, because those cartoons now are all over the internet. They're anywhere you look, they're out there. And I give credit to the magazine in Paris. I hear they're going to be up and running, and they're going to be back in publication. And that is a message we have to send to the rest of the world. We're not going to cower. We're not going to stop. We're not going to live in fear. We're going to continue to live in freedom. Freedom, democracy, liberty, freedom of the press, freedom of expression. They're not going to change the way we live or operate.
Bernie Kerik, as always, sir, we appreciate your insights. Obviously, you've literally been on the front lines in these situations. We think back to 9/11, and we thank you for what you have to say today. As always, we appreciate your time. Bernie Kerik from Newsmax, New York. Now, Bernie mentioned Congressman Peter King. Congressman Peter King joins us next as America's Forum continues here on Newsmax TV right after this.